In this video, I want to talk to you about Linux commands that you really need to have to stand out from the crowd. And whatever technology you're using, JavaScript, Python, whatever it is, you're going to need these. So let's go straight into it. Let's start off with the dreaded Vim. I'm going to show you how to exit Vim. And if you know that already, I've got a really awesome tip to show you afterwards. So let's use Vim. So we're going to open the README file, and we've got this file here, and we might make some changes, we might not. And everyone always wonders, how do they exit Vim? Well, you always hit escape first, no matter what you're doing, and then you do colon, and then you do Q to quit. And we've exited Vim. But what happens if we made some changes to Vim that we didn't want to save? So say we've made some changes. I'll just put a space between this, repo rater, hit escape, like I said, colon, quit. It's going to fail. It's going to say that we've got changes. Do we want to save them or not? Well, if we don't want to save them, what we'll do again is hit escape, colon, Q, exclamation mark, as it said, and we've now exited Vim. And if I go back, you can see there is no space here, so you can see that it didn't save the changes. And so what happens if we want to save the changes? Well, let's make that change again. And if we want to save it, this time we would hit escape, colon, W, then Q, and you can do that in separate commands, or you can just do it in one, and that way it will save it. So now if we go back to the file, you can see it's got a space here. But what happens, and I said this is the secret tip that I want to share with you, what happens if you start making some changes? So I'll put this back to having no space, and maybe we make another change. Let's see, let's put just note in front of this. But we want to find out some more information from the terminal. But I'm not ready to save this yet, and I don't want to quit it without saving, because then I'll lose my changes and I'll have to do it again. And yes, I know I've only written note. Let's assume I've written a lot more. Well, there is something you can do, and you might have used something similar before without realizing. When you couldn't exit Vim, most people kind of do Control-C, and that way they just kind of quit the application, like kill it, and they lose their changes, and that's how they do it. Well, that's a thing. That's not the thing I'd recommend to do. But in this case, if you use Control-Z, so I'm just going to hit escape, so I'm not in insert mode, and I do Control-Z, it's closed. But I haven't killed it, I've just suspended it and put it into the background. So that way I can go and do anything else that I wanted to do, get the information that I needed from other file. And if we cat the README, you'll see, oh, it's quite long. Let's go a bit to the top. You cat the README, the note that I wrote in front of when, one other command I can give you here is you could do head README, and it will just print out the beginning of it. And you can see note isn't there, so I haven't saved the changes. So if I restarted my computer, close the terminal, those changes would be lost. But you can see that it isn't saved, so I can make the changes I want, and then I can save it. So if we want to go back to that, we don't want to type Vim README, because if I do that, what we're going to do is make a new kind of instance of that. So actually what we want to do is we want to bring the job from the background into the foreground. And if I type jobs, you can see that it says it's suspended. It's there. It's Vim with the readme.md file. And to bring it back, we can go FG. And now that file comes back, and you can see straight away it's got note there, and it wasn't saved as I showed you earlier. And then we can make additional changes that we wanted to, that we've now found out from going back to the terminal, coming back to the file. Well, I'm not going to save any of that. So I'm going to do a Q with an exclamation mark. And if I do jobs now, you can see there's nothing there. And so if I try to bring it into the foreground, it will say, no, it's not possible. So that's what I wanted to show you with Vim. Maybe there's one more tip, a bonus one that I'm going to show you as well. So let's go back to Vim, and let's say we want to search for something. So let's have a look. How would you search in the file? Well, you can type /, always escape first, but then / and type the word that you want. In this case, let me say the word rate. And you can see it highlights it all. I can hit enter, and I can then use N to just skip. You can see my cursor is now on line 3, then it will jump to line 4, and then you can do word replace, and you can do all sorts of things from there, or hit insert and make changes there straight away. That's pretty good. Bonus tip there. The other item I really want to show you is grep. And grep is so powerful, but I'm not going to dive deep into grep. But there are a few things that you need to know that will help you with your everyday life. So let me clear the console. And as you saw before, we did cat readme, which just dumps out the entire contents of the file. But let's just say the file is really big, and it is quite big. We want to bring out certain lines. Well, if I clear that, and if I do cat readme again, but I can pipe it with grep, and grep will filter out the output, and we could use the word rate. I think that's what we searched for when we're in Vim. And if I hit enter, you can see now these are the actual lines that it has with rate in there. And there are other things you can do. You can make it case sensitive. You can also get it to print the line numbers. You can see I put -n there, the flag, and now you can see that's on line 1, on line 5, line 27, and it's doing rate. Rate appears quite a lot. Maybe we should pick one that doesn't appear so much. What about DX? Here we go. It appears once on line 5. There we go. So the grep is super powerful. Well, what else can we do with grep? Well, grep, we can actually also search the contents of the files in the directory, which is super awesome. So you're not just searching within one file, you're searching all the files. And you can do that with grep. You can put some flags like -r for recursive if you want to go through subdirectories. You could also make it with insensitive, and we can put the line numbers, and then we could search for what we want, and then we put the path. So in this case, let's search for DX, and then we'll put dot. Oh, it's going through our node modules. Okay, that's quite a lot. Maybe we'll specify a specific directory so we don't include the node modules. So we've included the source directory, and we're going recursively through the source directory. And you can see in this file on rate form on line 60, we've got DX. And then on activity on line 40, we've also got DX, but that's got an I in it. And I did do case insensitive. So let me do that again, and let me remove the I, and that should no longer appear because that's a lower DX, and we only want upper DX. So you can see in form on line 60 and 97, it appears only when we did it the second time. Now, one extra bonus tip I'd like to give you, an overall bonus, is searching your command history. So let's say I want to reuse a previous command, and most people press up, and try and find it where it is. Well, did you know you can do Control R and you can search your history? So if you want a grep command or a cat command, or we did a head command way further up earlier on in this video, I can just type head, and it brings me the head command. And I could type cat, and it brings me the cat command. And we did multiple cat commands. Let's say I didn't want the latest cat command. I want a previous one where I can just hit Control R again, and it'll actually search through that history. But another thing you could do, which you learned today, is the grep command. So you could type history, which will print out all my history. But what we could do is do history, pipe it with grep that you learnt, and then we could type cat. There's a lot of results there. So what we can do is I typed a cat in capitals, and it's searching for it case sensitive. We can make it case insensitive with the I, or I could just put lowercase cat. And again, you can see now it's got location, which does include cat, but here are my commands that I used with cat before. Maybe I could do the readme instead, or if I know it's including the readme, you can actually do double pipe with the grep command. We can go grep readme, and here you go, you can see the commands we did there. So grep is so powerful. Definitely have a play and see how it goes. But if you do search your entire directory of your hard drive, it could take quite a while. Let me know what you thought of this video. We use these commands on open source projects all the time. So if you want to geek out on real world open source projects, come and join us in the EddieHub community. Link in the description below.